translocation. Went on a quite circuitous journey down to Morongo and then all the way across Banning Canyon and all the way back to Mentone within 3 weeks of translocation. And unfortunately, I found her after having recently been struck by a vehicle after noticing her collar hadn't moved in a day or two. And she was, human euthanasia.
She was a juvie or a cub?
A yearling. So that was a cub that was, again, that same neighborhood, the Casablanca neighborhood over there by the bear sign. Kind of just existed on the periphery of the neighborhood as an orphan. No idea what happened to the sow. Kind of really wasn't reported much at all that summer. Just a ring camera video here and there for months. So just did a good job of staying off the radar. But then started showing up and getting into high conflict scenarios, and then moved way through the park here and all over the place. But yeah, it was a yearling. Again, the kind of the age range that tends to get into more human-bear conflict.
Just wanted to add to that. I mean, that's our little sample size of one, but there's an anecdote that moving it where we did, about 10 miles back into the national forest, didn't change anything. It knew that it liked the food down here, and unfortunately it's sort of corrupted. So sometimes that can work, most of the time it doesn't.
I think that's excellent for everybody to hear, because that goes to what you're saying about relocating.
Yep.
You tried,
Yep.
and the bear ended up backward.
And we are trying, that's basically our state policy is telling us to try this a bunch. And I mean, quite honestly, this has been a problem that's been worked out in, 20 states that have black bears that have tried this. I worked in Virginia decades ago. They had moved over 100 animals and wrote up the papers. And the number one thing that happened, as Kevin said, they're killed on the highway trying to get home. The other is they get into the range of another bear, because if it's bear habitat, it's already got a bear in it. And so you have this bear on bear conflict. So we're trying to do this, and unfortunately we're seeing that our examples in California so far look like they're going to do kind of what as scientists we expect it to do, is tell us that there's no happily ever after. It's not Disney. In some cases, like young female bears, by the stats, often can do okay and set up a range. Everything else, the older ones, the more male you are, the older you are, the less likely you are to settle in somewhere. I'm sorry, Ed.
What's the significance of the ear tags in the bear? How do you just use that, keep track of where they are, or?
Yeah, so there is, it's a great question we get asked quite a bit. There is no special significance to the color, to whether it's one ear or both ears or the number. They're simply during the chemical mobilization and processing of that bear, they're simply grabbed out of a bag. So they're grabbed out of a bag. So
they allow it.
Right. So and then so with our GPS collars, they have time releases, but the ear tags themselves, they are permanently on the bear. So it allows us as managers of wildlife to monitor sightings and behavior and reported sightings of individuals with those specific ear tags, because they're not duplicates. That color and alphanumeric ear tag is specific to the individual, so we'll be able to monitor that individual with the ear tag in perpetuity of its in its life.
But only by reports of it being seen. They don't transmit or anything, right?
We do not have any transmitter tags out on bears. They're, rubber large flag tags, exactly.
It's a cattle tag. That's all it is. Just a visual marker.
Okay.
Go.
About a month ago, I had a very large bear. I live on Golden Gate, up in the spring, and it was fighting with, I would say, a yearling. And I didn't know whether or not, and the large bear did take a chunk out of the skull. And I didn't report it to anyone. I have a picture, but I didn't. Next time, should I mean, I've been calling you all the time, but they were fighting, and I didn't know. I just stayed in the house.
Yeah, I mean, animal on animal conflict, likely over resources. exists naturally all the time. Unfortunately, in areas where there's high levels of attractants, it's in the urban setting that it takes place. But in the wild, these interactions happen as a byproduct of competition over resources all the time. Anything like that you do have, I mean, I'm always interested in seeing it if it's a photo.
For over 8 hours. I saw lots of teeth.
Sure.
It was interesting.
Yeah. That does sound fascinating, and I'll just point out to Kevin's point, if we've got attractants, we've got sort of a naturally, or rather an unnaturally dense population, more chance of, bears bumping into each other. And if you ever watch some of the nature shows about like African lions, how males will come over and try and kill another male and take over a lion pride. Well, guess what black bears do? They will do the same thing, and they will actually kill, a male will actually kill cubs, seeking to get the female back into breeding condition. And it's kind of a brutal, like, natural selection that they can get rid of their competition genes and have their own little cubs running around. Mountain lions do it too, where the males do that. So it's possible that was something going on in the female bear. Sorry, in the yellow cluster.
So, I understand that if the bear has an ear tag or collared, it was already once maybe relocated, or it actually had to be had some kind of chemical issue with it, right?
Correct. We had drug it, but it could be one of two, right?
Yeah, it could be.
Or?
Yeah, it could be either or. It could be a bear that was no harm, no foul, or a bear that we chemically immobilized and collared and placed ear tags on, or like we have 3 bears on the landscape now that are ear tagged and collared that were last year's orphaned cubs, 2 from Forest Falls, 1 from Lake Arrowhead, that we captured, and they spent 9 months in rehab. And those bears have collars and ear tags as well, so different reasons, but yeah, to do any of that, chemical mobilization is the first step. They wouldn't like it very
Are
much.
there some success stories that some bears do make it in these urban areas then?
Yeah, right now, absolutely. We have one of our orphan cubs from last year. She has created a small but very, from the outside looking in, very successful home range right in the same area that we released all 3 bears at the same time. So absolutely, yeah, it's not always that they go back to conflict. She's great.
You might want to mention the trap tag cage is one of our approaches versus the translocation.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, also what a no harm, no foul is. That just maybe it didn't get in trouble, it just got someone.
Right. Yeah. And if anytime we can get ear tags on a bear, just to mark the individual opportunistically, if the situation presents itself, we will. So, like Jeff was saying, if it's a no harm, no foul bear, we might not necessarily put a GPS collar on it, but ideally we'll place ear tags on it, and that way anyone that sees it, photographs it, and sends it to us, we have up-to-date reports of that bear.
How long is their gestation period? 6 months?
So you're going to get me, I forgot right now. It is.
60 years.
It's shorter than that. Yeah. It's a lot shorter than 6 months. I'm trying to remember. So they're kind of weird in that cubs are born. They're what we call altricial. They're not able to go run around. Right. They're inside a den, so it's almost like they're in sort of an extension of the being in the womb, because they're in this sort of protected area. But yeah, I think it's more like 2 months of actual pregnancy, and then there's probably another, I forget how long they're in a den, but generally another a month and a half, 2 months before they're, and then you see they're kind of cute little fur balls by the time they come out. They're cute little fur balls even in the den. I've done work where we actually went in to pick cubs out of the den, we knock mom out and mark and measure all the cubs and maybe change mom's collar. And that's, one good question is, we'll have bears out in the winter time. You go, well, why aren't they hibernating? The only bears that really have to hibernate are those pregnant females that have to have that den, because it's part of the reproduction. And if there's the thing that will stop a bear from hibernating, like say a male bear, not going to get pregnant, right? Maybe a female that's just for whatever reason not pregnant, maybe it's older, for whatever reason. If there is food available, so say there's trash out, even in the winter, they are not going to den. That's what the denning is just driven by lack of food. So it's just a physiological kind of adaptation they have. If there's snow on the ground, covering the acorns and the other vegetation they eat, then they're set up to go to sleep for 3 or 4 or 6 months in Alaska. So just be aware that just because it's winter doesn't mean there could not be a bear around. In people, we are part of the reason that some of those bears stay active through the winter.
220 days.
220. Okay, thanks. What's the math of?
That's the black bear.
It was on your test.
Well, that is pretty bad, but it's been a long time since it's been 220. Huh. Jeff.
I've seen some people contest that, the boars eating the cubs. Is there proof out there that the boars do eat the cubs?
Yes?
Okay. I figured you guys knew what you were talking about, because some people say that's not true, but they're not biologists.
It's happened, collared animals that we've tracked. I've seen the same thing with mountain lion cubs. It's pretty trippy.
The male will eat the kittens?
Male will eat kittens.
Wow.
That's why the mother is such a bear.
Any other questions?
If you happen to have a bear in your car, they leave a smell. What would you recommend the best way to get that smell out of your car?
Boy, I've done dogs and skunks.
Sell the car.
Put my clothes in the washing machine works, but it's hard to get your car in the washing machine. I don't know.
Sell it.
Fresh
I don't know.
hydrogen peroxide and baking soda, and it must be fresh. We did that. Unfortunately, it wasn't a bear, it was a human that was in a car and died.
Okay.
And the carpet, you thought it would never come clean.
That's kind of the same you do for the skunk,
It
right?
is.
It's the peroxide.
It is. Fresh.
But it's fresh. You can't
Fresh.
have a little spray bottle with ready to go. It has to be
Yeah.
right there the
Open it
moment.
fresh and don't store it, it'll blow up. But hydrogen peroxide and baking soda, it's very good.
I would say the best way to get that sent out is to keep the car locked and not let the bear in. From the beginning.
Also things are upholstery.
I want to know, what is the punishment for shooting a bear that's walking down the street or coming to your home? And I live in the mountains in Angeles Oaks, and we've had a lot of bear trouble. And I just want to know what the punishment is. I mean, people move there and they think they're moving to a nice community, and we live with bears daily. And then they threaten that they're going to shoot the bear that keeps getting in their trash, and then, as you well know, they do shoot them just for walking up to their house.
Yep, my role in that is to issue education and guidance to the homeowner on how to safely live in bear habitat, and anything involving take, illegal take, anything like that is handled up by our game wardens.
So there's a difference between poaching of a bear and a person that has a threshold different from everybody else. That thinks, hey, this was an emergency, that's fine, we do that. So every situation is different. If there's a person out in the forest intentionally looking for a bear to poach for the meat or for the organs, or they're just simply just hunting out of season, it's different than something like that happening in town. So we have to look at everything, and if a person feels that, and they can justify that they felt imminently threatened, to their life, or just great bodily injuries, where it's the way it's worded, to them or a pet or another person, even in defense of property, if they can justify the situation, then that's not a crime. It was done in self-defense. Now, everybody's different. Are there people that just simply are threatened by the presence of the bear and end up shooting it as it's far away or running away? and they hit it in the back as it's running. We look at all those things to see what the intention was. So if convicted of killing a bear, of poaching a bear, is a misdemeanor. It's in our Fish and Game Code as a misdemeanor, and we file in the court.
Right, like,
Yeah.
if someone puts on, like, say, the internet, Facebook or something, that this bear gets in my trash and I'm gonna shoot it, and then they eventually shoot it, is there a fine? Or, I mean, can they just
someone
shoot a bear
posting
for
something
doing
like that already sounds like, it's kind of like a trigger happy kind of person.
Right, that's what I mean.
And they're also leaving the attractant there.
Right.
Right, that's their trash.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a crime.
Right.
But at the end of the day, no, unless there's a witness or a video camera showing exactly how it happened, a person's, if they say they felt threatened imminently and they were defending to the life, that changes everything. So
They would, okay. Well, that's pretty much what I figured, and,
yeah.
it really sucks, because we have a lot of people who have no idea.
Right.
And, we live daily with, I mean, you could just expect bears out there to just walk out the door every day and know that they're gonna be there. And in most parts of our community, they are, all summer long. And then, I just feel like there should be more, like maybe an escrow, or I don't know where the education should come in before they actually purchase a house to live there.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to know.
Yeah, I mean, we could go back 100, 200 years when there were no houses, and it was grizzly bear happy. So I mean, it just depends where you want to start holding people accountable, or whoever's selling the house, and it's all at the end of the day, it's all our fault for not knowing, for not educating ourselves in our department. Trying our best to educate it, but it was like Candy was saying. The people that need to hear this the most, they're never supposed to be. I've been doing this for 10 years now, and the people that need to hear this aren't the ones that are going to go out of their way to show up to the meeting.
Right.
You make a really good question, and it really is up to, we count on folks like you that are motivated, that are interested to get this word out. We could probably help and point people towards, our website, materials, but we kind of count on like peer pressure, like neighbor to neighbor. And same thing, I live in the mountains and everything's an Airbnb now, or I mean short-term rental. It's really hard to get, and just new people buying houses. So it is difficult to get that word out. We don't really have a great answer, but this is sort of a start. But definitely would like to see some more organizing. So you have a question in the middle? Yeah.
You go out there and respond to that about taking shots of bears. You shouldn't promote that, because if they just wound that bear, you're going to create a bigger problem with wounded bears out there in the neighborhood. That's right. So I would not promote you guys taking shots at them.
Yeah, I don't think we're advocating that at all. But yeah, good point. And that's one of the things sometimes people don't really realize. Like, some people have a handgun for personal defense. It's pretty hard to kill a bear. You don't really want to mess around with that.
Did they find the one that was injured in
Yeah, Angela's Hook?
So the last I know is the bear is mobile, it's cruising around, so as far as we know, I think it was just one day after it looked like it was moving around okay. We don't really know for sure the extent of injuries or if it was a grazing wound, and I guess they could not establish with any certainty who had done the shooting.
Was it pistol or rifle?
Just don't know. Because we didn't have chances. The bear's still running around. I don't think anybody recovered the physical evidence, like
The residents know who it was.
Well,
They're going to make their life a little bit uncomfortable from here.
which is a great role for peer pressure.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm sure Warden Garcia could I can't speak to this, but, you know, there has to be, even from scientists, there has to be some solid evidence, otherwise it's unfortunately, we just don't have anything to go on. Yeah.
So you said in your presentation that there was code violations for leaving your trash out on purpose, so why can't you talk to the guy that leaves his trash out?
Well,
Instead of shooting the bear, correct?
yeah, so I can answer that for you. So in our fish and game code, well, first, I think I need to clarify what the expectation is for what my job is. I'm a fish and game warden, and I brought my duty statement, because I always have to bring it up, and it's covered in coffee stains. But, so my job is protection of fish and wildlife. Protection of habitat, pollution enforcement, prevention of illegal commercialization of habitat and resources and wildlife. So pretty much enforcing hunting and fishing regulations and habitat. So your question was, why didn't we go enforcing that stuff? Okay, so I could also get involved with wildlife laws that relate to harassment of wildlife, and that is a fish and game code. And that one is
Up on the screen.
yeah. I'm gonna read you guys the whole version so you know what it is that we enforce. So, except as otherwise provided in these regulations or in the Fish and Game Code, no person shall harass, hurt, or drive any game or non-game bird or mammal or fur-bearing mammal. For the purposes of this section, harass is defined as an intentional act which disrupts an animal's normal behavior patterns, which includes, but is not limited to, breeding, feeding, or sheltering. This section does not apply to a landowner or tenant who drives or herds birds or mammals for the purpose of preventing damage to private or public property, including aquaculture and agricultural crops. The key word in here is intentional. This is the Fish and Game Code that a game warden can enforce regarding attracting animals. What you're talking about is a county ordinance. It's not a Fish and Game Code, that's a county ordinance enforceable by local law enforcement, code enforcement, any law enforcement. I'm not trying to put that off on anybody else, but just to put things into perspective, there are currently 2 game wardens for the entire county of San Bernardino. Our job isn't to go into town and check people's trash cans and stuff. And that would be a very inefficient use of a game warden's resources. We're supposed to be protecting our public land, our lakes, checking seasons, checking limits, and all that stuff. So it wouldn't be a feasible thing to get the only 2 game wardens to go down the streets and start scratching infractions for a county ordinance that isn't a Fish and Game Code. So, but I do show up when you guys call and tell us that the neighbor is intentionally leaving the dog food and the water. That'll get me to go out there because they're doing it on purpose. They're recording it, just like the pictures of holding the food in their hand. So we can do something about that. It's still hard for me to prioritize, for a whole half a county that I covered. But that's still my business. The unintentional stuff, leaving trash and stuff, that would be very hard to justify me chasing that stuff around. There's a difference between feeding and just people not leaving the trash and taking care of the trash.
It's food. To me, it's food. He's leaving it out so he can shoot the bear. I'm just saying.
Yeah, let's turn over to our colleague from Burrtec, who's good. Do your thing.
No problem. Can everybody hear me okay?
Can you give him the mic?
He's got a mic. He's holding the mic.
My name is Mike too.
Give Mike the mic.
How about that?
Oh, just pin it to your collar.
This is better.
I need that mic in case there dies or.
We love technology. So, very comprehensive, more information than I could ever provide. I'm the trash guy. I just brought the fancy barrel. So, the department did a great job. We've been in community meetings in Forest Falls and other areas that are in bear communities that we service. Most of you know we service up in the Arrowhead, Running Springs communities, Oak Glen I've heard, Forest Falls I've heard, and down here in the foothill communities, and bears are out there, you know, as many of you know. But the presentation was excellent. They barely left me anything left to say. I had to do it. But we've talked so much about Senate Bill 1383. Many of you have seen our information about food waste, and how to handle that, and how to move that from your black barrel to your green barrels. And one of the things with the Burrtec program that's very unique in Southern California and in some of the areas is our programs are bagged food waste programs. So if you think about it, your black trash can right now, you're putting organics in, and that material is bagged. So we're asking residents to keep that bag tightly secured and just now place it in your green container with your green waste. So there's a lot of communities, some even which we service, that bags aren't allowed. So if you can imagine the bear issues with an unbagged food waste program in the green container, it just adds the problems, right? Those scent attractants, especially in the summertime, coming down off the mountain and with drought conditions, really get the bears close to the area. So what we have here then is a bag program. So we encourage in all of our outreach that you see and all of our material to tightly secure in a plastic bag your material. If you feel more comfortable double bagging it, we also brought with us some points and tips. It's our bear flyers. I'm here with some associates tonight, Mr. Richard Nino, and then we also have our associate Christine in the back. We have some flyers and some information, not only your newsletters, but also this bear guide. One thing I'd like to point out, and you guys can all come up and we can show you how the bear carts work, and they are grizzly bear tested at Yellowstone. So this picture right here on the bottom of our handout, and you'll see a lot of the same tips as the departments. The first one on there is keep your barrel clean, use ammonia or bleach. I mean, it's about those scent attractants. And also, I heard you guys mention refrigerating or freezing the food waste in a bag and setting it out on the morning of the container. That's great advice. It also helps keep down insects and the rest. You put it out on trash day right in the morning in your container. But if you really need it, we've seen a lot of California bears attack these barrels. And they are working so far so good. The bears are crafty. They're very smart. But to get this grizzly bear lid that's on top of this barrel, they've spent time in a grizzly bear pen with a king salmon inside the container and a hungry grizzly bear. And if it makes it and goes the distance, it becomes grizzly certified. Now that is not grizzly proof, right? So bears are very ingenious. If they want to get in this barrel, they will. But the construction of the barrel makes it in such a way that it's hard for the claws to get under the lip of the lid because of the locking mechanism, and they can't pry it open. Now, if your neighbor overfills their barrel like this, it's not going to help. Right? That grizzly bear is going to get in there all day long. So there is techniques, and again, I think we heard a lot about what humans do in a bear environment to help live and work with the animals. But the latch is fairly easy to open. It's easy to handle. They are rolled out, and you can put them out. We do have them available. We were even talking about maybe raffling this one off tonight. Who wants to go home with the barrel, right? But you can call our customer service department. They are $14.71 a month per barrel. I think your estimate was right on. I think you've seen some of our barrels in other neighborhoods. We have them in neighboring communities, all the way out as far in LA County as the city of Doherty, city of Rancho Cucamonga. I'm sure most of you who have bears have seen those bear YouTube videos coming in the backyards. I've seen many in pools. I saw one in a jacuzzi, but how can you blame the bear, right? So, but we do have a lot of information. There is some good tips. Again, I direct you to the experts on specifics, but we do have the carts available that you can have delivered to you. We can get them out. in the field, you just call our customer service office. Our numbers are on the outreach over there. And we also brought with us some food waste pails. They're just tools, if you will. So when you're in your house, we're so used to taking our cuttings and trimmings and just sliding that into the trash barrel under the sink maybe. Well, now with food waste, it takes a little different muscle memory and a little different reminders. So we have the pails for you that you could line with a plastic bag, fill those up during the day, secure them, tie them up, set them in your freezer on trash day, go ahead and set it out. And we do have a lot of residents that are successful with their collection without having a bear cart. So again, everybody's scenario is different. I think the bears decide where and whose house they like the best and what they can smell the most, as we've been seeing all night on the attractants. But we do have a remedy that does seem to be successful, and it is helping when it's used properly. So again, I can't tell you how many times we've seen 6 bear carts on the street at the base of the foothills, and the one neighbor at the end has that green waste barrel with those branches that just weren't cut down, and last night's salmon half sticking out of that barrel. So it just won't work, even though the grizzly bear's lid's on there. So again, it's just thinking about, and we have tips. Like I said, you can call our office. We love to be engaged and out here, and we're appreciative that, ma'am, you were so kind to invite us out, and we could tag along with your program. But our numbers are all over the information up there, and we'll be around this evening to answer any questions that you may have, and a couple maybe right now. I know we're running a little bit long. Yes, sir.
When the truck comes around to pick that up, how's it open?
Yes, so that is the genius piece behind this. There is what's called a gravity locking mechanism that's built into the lid. So even if the bear knocks it over, that puts the barrel on the ground, like on its back, it won't open. The container actually has to rotate beyond 90 degrees. As you've seen it in our trucks, and up on the arm, we get it, it's called the candy cane across the top. It comes right over the top. Once it hits that arch up on the top, that's when the gravity lock mechanism actually opens, and the lid will open up automatically by itself. That's part of what that clasp is right there on the front. So, and that's what some of this area is up here on top. That's where the locking mechanism is. So, I haven't seen a bear pick it up, flip it upside down, and shake it out yet. So, but I have seen them knock it over. They have stood on top of it. And like I said, this picture is actually from the testing. They love to knock them over and jump on top of it, but they haven't gotten in it yet. Not that I've seen. They do damage them though. So we do have to replace them from time to time. They do have sharp claws, and they are pretty ingenious in how they try and get into some of these things.
Have you turned a 3-year-old loose on that yet?
No, we wouldn't dare try that. So they'd be in there in a second. So.
Okay, this is a black trash can, which I put my regular trash in.
Yes, ma'am.
So we are now putting our food trash in the green can.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So.
I wasn't giving that to you.
So.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so.
We have green ones also.
Okay, that's.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that answered it.
Yep, we do have green ones. Now, if you have your blue recycling barrel, right, and you throw that half-filled jelly jar in your normal barrel, but you have your food, same thing applies, right? The bears don't care which barrel it's in, they're going to find the easiest way to get in there. So just think about how your material handling is going, and if you choose to use this option, it will really help support your deterrent, but there's some practicality with it as well.
I've also heard, hang on, just one more important question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've also, and I did get an email, or not an email, but a message on Facebook on one of our posts. A lady in Angeles Oaks said, you're saying Burrtec's going to be there. I have been trying to get one of these trash cans for a month, and I've been told I can't get it.
A lady.
Yes, she did. So I told her, come. I don't know whether she came and she could ask you, but apparently nobody's asking, so I'm asking for her. This isn't the only time. I've heard many times from Forest Falls, Angeles Oaks, that actually getting their hands on these trash cans are not that easy.
Well, Yeah. I will get that information and we'll check into that. So I believe in the presentation earlier, contracts and jurisdictions in different cities have different programs, even though we may be the same service provider. So if you give me that individual's contact information, we can contact them directly and try and work with them. In some of the mountain communities, we have deployed bear barrels in certain areas, and just like some of the others foothill communities that I mentioned. So that doesn't mean that every city has a program, and we can respond to that on a one-on-one basis. But we'd be more than happy to take down that. Sure.
All right, thanks everyone. We have the room for a few more minutes, so I want to leave time for you to come up
Thank you, sir.
and take a look and get your hands on the device here. Thank you for coming, and thank you for all of our experts for taking the time.